There's a phrase that I think one should return to again and again when contemplating the Horizon scandal and others like it. It's designed to fail. Not because of incompetence, but because failure, delay, obfuscation are features, not bugs in a system that talks justice but delivers bureaucracy, that claims to care but punishes the innocent. Let's be precise. The post office scandal has become shorthand for institutional betrayal. Over 900 people wrongly prosecuted, their lives shattered by a defective IT system, and worse, by the refusal of those in charge to admit the truth once they knew it, continues and continues and continues. And now, having had their convictions overturned and their reputations restored in principle by the courts, those same victims are being insulted again, this time by a compensation process that, according to forensic accountant Kay Linnell, is offering as little as 0.56% of legitimate claims. What word should we use for that? Indifference, cruelty, or perhaps simply deceit, a system that professes redress but works by default to deny. And this is not a lone case. Let's not be naive about it. We saw it with Windrush, where victims of unlawful deportation and discrimination were punished because they were promised compensation only to find themselves trapped in more paperwork, more delay, more humiliation, and the person ultimately responsible for the Windrush mess ended up as Prime Minister and lords it over us, claiming that she is interested in trafficking and in combating slavery. We saw it with the infected blood scandal, where decades of delay and denial cost lives, and even now full compensation has barely begun. We saw it with Grenfell, where families continue to live in fear and squalor 7 years on, while corporate culprits wrangle over liability and regulators avoid accountability. And we see it again here in the GLO, the Group Litigation Order scheme by the Post Office. And the meaning is in the word, isn't it? Scheme, where despite a £1.8 billion budget, dozens of claimants are being told their losses don't count, that their business plans, their livelihoods, their failures, their futures are worth pennies in the pound. Offers of 0.56%, 1.2%, 3%, as if this were a game of insult and attrition. So Alan Bates, whose years of campaigning were immortalised in the ITV drama Mr. Bates and the Post Office, has called this a quasi-kangaroo court, and he's right. He should be running the compensation process, not being subjected to its contempt. Sir Win Williams, to his credit, is attempting to bring dignity back to the discussion. His first volume, due out this summer, will centre on redress and the human impact. But let's not kid ourselves. Whether the report lands early or not, the real issue is whether anyone is listening, because this is a pattern. These scandals are not isolated blunders. They reveal a deeper pathology within our political and administrative culture, the widening chasm between public promise and actual delivery. And a government that swears justice will be swift and then commissions a non-legalistic scheme that demands decade-old receipts, that's not justice. That's not right. That's not truth. That is deceit. It's playing games. A post office that admits fault in public but in private challenges loss of earnings, investment forecasts and future livelihood on the flimsiest technicalities, and a Department of Business and Trade that says with deadpan confidence that victims who are unhappy with their offer have access to legal support. That's not justice, that's a dare. It's important to say this plainly. We are still in the era of the cover-up. The scandal may have been exposed, but the restitution is still actively undermined, and all this occurs while data breaches, yes, even those, continue. Hundreds of victims had their personal details leaked in 2024. Compensation capped at £5,000. Apology slow and soulless. Again, it took campaigners and lawyers to drag even that out of them. So where are we? Over 1,000 lives ruined. Criminal convictions overturned but not fully expunged. promise billions reduced to pitiful bureaucratic pittance, and a government that calls this progress. There's a passage in the ancient Greek drama The Oresteia, where the chorus cries out, "Justice turns the balance scales, sees what the eyes cannot, and breaks the sword of power misused." That is the kind of justice we owe the victims of Horizon, not statistics, not schemes designed to fail, not more trauma designed and disguised as red tape. Until then, we are not a just society. We are a society that talks loudly about justice and then whispers it when it comes time to pay. That isn't justice, that is deceit.